Hello, friends. It's Tuesday, May 5th. This is Pam, and welcome to the reading of the Mansfield News Journal. Let's begin today with reading the area deaths. Barbara Jeanette Bird, 98, of Mount Vernon, passed away May 3rd, Dowds Snyder Funeral Home, Mount Vernon. Alan E. Coggenbaugh, 96, of Mount Vernon, passed away May 2nd, Dowds Snyder Funeral Home in Mount Vernon. John Cornell, 83, of Mansfield, passed away May 2nd. He's at Snyder. Charlotte Geyer, 101, of Mount Gilead, passed away April 30th, also at Snyder. Jimmy Lee Mollett passed away Sunday at Ohio Health Mansfield, surrounded by his family. He was 78. Private family services will be held at the Marion Avenue Snyder Funeral Home, and burial will follow in Mansfield Cemetery. Margie M. Peterson was born on February 15, 1923 in Plymouth, Ohio, and she passed away May 2 on 2020. That would make her 97. At Brethren Care Village in Ashland, Margie's wishes were to have no services. Her Lily Chambers Funeral Home is assisting the family with arrangements. Theodore Franklin Ted Schluter, born May 29, 1934, passed away Friday. He was just shy of 86. Graveside funeral services Thursday at 1 p.m. in Mansfield Memorial Park. Social distancing will be observed. The Marion Avenue Snyder Funeral Home is handling funeral arrangements. Gloria Ann Glory Scott, 78, of Bristol, Indiana, passed away May 1st, Snyder Richardson Davis Chapel. Arlene H. Smith, age 92, former resident of Tiro, passed away Friday. Friends may join us graveside Friday at 11:30 a.m. in Sandusky Cemetery at Tiro. Barkdall Funeral Home and Crematory was honored to assist the family with arrangements. Evelyn Jean Spahn, 88, of Belleville, passed away April 30th. She is at Snyder. Well, friends, that concludes the Tuesday Mansfield Journal area death notices. Now for our first article. Coronavirus in Ohio, 89 confirmed and probable cases in Richland County by Monroe Trombley. Through Monday, there have been 89 cases of the novel coronavirus in Richland County, an uptick of 4 since Friday. That number includes 4 cases that Richland Public Health has reported as probable, meaning those county residents had symptoms or met certain criteria without testing. There have been 24 hospitalizations in the county, 12 admissions to an intensive care unit, and 2 deaths. 56 people who had either a confirmed or probable case of the coronavirus have recovered. In Richland County, the average age of someone with a case of COVID-19, the illness caused by the coronavirus, has been 46. 4 staff members at the Mansfield Correctional Institution have tested positive for COVID-19, and 2 have recovered, according to the Ohio Department of Correction and Rehabilitation. 1 inmate has recovered from the illness as well. At Richland Correctional Institute, 3 staff members have tested positive for COVID-19. 1 inmate is in isolation awaiting test results. On Monday afternoon, the Ohio Department of Health added 560 more cases to the state's tally, bringing the total to 20,474. The death toll rose by 18 to reach 1,056 since the start of the pandemic. Our next article is titled, Coronavirus in Ohio, Kroger Limiting Meat Purchases at Mansfield Stores, by Monroe Trombley. Kroger has begun to limit how much ground beef, chicken, and fresh pork customers may buy. The cap of 3 per item has been implemented at stores in the Mansfield area, as well as in Columbus, Cincinnati, and elsewhere. At Kroger, we feel good about our ability to maintain a broad assortment of meat and seafood for our customers because we purchase protein from a diverse network of suppliers. A spokeswoman said in an email, "There is plenty of protein in the supply chain. However, some processors are experiencing challenges. The recent shutdowns and closures of meat processing plants amid the coronavirus pandemic is not affecting Kroger at this time," according to Amy McCormick. It's important to note that these temporary purchase limits are not indicative of meat supply issues, but are based on increased demand by some guests, she said. Costco and New York-based Wegmans have also begun to set limits on meat purchases due to growing concerns over possible shortages, USA Today reported on Monday. "Where's the beef and chicken?" Should we worry about meat shortages? More than 20 meat processing plants have closed at some point in the past 2 months, reducing pork production by about 25% and beef by 10%, according to United Food and Commercial Workers, a trade union that represents more than 250,000 workers. Among 130,000 workers across 115 meat and poultry processing facilities in 19 states, there have been at least 4,913 cases of the novel coronavirus, and 20 workers have died, according to a report released Friday by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Kroger is the nation's largest supermarket chain. Besides Kroger stores, the grocer operates several regional supermarket chains in 35 states, including Fred Meyer, Harris Teeter, Ralph's, Mariano's, Fry's, Smith's, King's Supers, QFC, and others. The company employs 460,000 workers nationwide and operates nearly 2,800 stores. Our next article is titled Performance Issues Cited for Children's Services, Ex-Attorney's Suspension by Lou Whitmire. Richland County Children's Services placed its attorney on paid administrative leave 5 months ago because of allegations she was doing little or no discernible work for the majority of time she was telecommuting between July 1 and December 23, 2019, according to department records. A disciplinary investigation of attorney Edith Gilliland, Gilliland, found potential violations of agency policies from the 2019 Personnel Manual, according to documents obtained by the News Journal through public records requests. Specific areas cited included hours of work/scheduling, telecommuting, vacation, sick leave, standards of performance for employees, standards of performance for supervisors, ethics, conflict of interest, attendance, political activities, confidentiality, social media, workplace violence, and, quote, all of Section 14 computer and telecommunications, end quote, according to the public records. From July 1 through December 23, 2019, investigative records listed trends for Gilliland in the RCCS document. Little/no discernible activity or work product for majority of time spent telecommuting. 90% working from home is unaccounted for. The agency's investigation of Gilliland also said there was a noticeable pattern of no work activity before/after lunch period and before time scheduled to leave for the day. The report cited numerous other violations, including taking long lunches and leaving work early, patterns established through electronic non-activity FOB usage and video surveillance, sick leave, vacation leave abuse, unprofessional behavior toward both internal agency staff and external community partners, failure to attend court/complete work in a timely manner, consistent violation of numerous agency policies with actions to include but not limited to incompetency, inefficiency, dishonesty, insubordination, discourteous treatment of the public, and neglect of duty, failure of good behavior, unauthorized absence from work, failure to report off work for absences, failure to observe agency rules, misuse of county property and resources, performing private work on county time, breach of client confidentiality, unauthorized political activity, misuse or removal of county records, and unsatisfactory work/failure to maintain the required standard of performance as both an agency employee and an agency supervisor. Nikki Harless, Executive Director of Children's Services, wrote in the Notice of Investigation letter to Gilliland on December 23rd that a disciplinary investigation was underway based on reports that Gilliland's conduct has violated certain agency standards. Specifically, it is alleged that your performance as manager of legal services has fallen short of the standards set forth in your job description and agency policies and/or procedures, Harless said in the letter. Gilliland resigned effective May 1 after serving as attorney for the Richland County Children's Services since 2008. A settlement agreement was reached on or about April 14, according to separate records obtained by the News Journal through public records requests. Gilliland declined to comment for this article, stating in an email, "The News Journal advised that they could not guarantee they would publish my comments in their entirety to the twisted allegations being levied against me. Until then, I have no further comment for this article." In a letter to the editor published Sunday, Gilliland said she suspected that some of these issues arose from my disciplining an employee who felt unfairly treated. She also wrote that she determined it was in my best interest to resign based on my history with the current executive director. I hoped for change and immediately noted none. According to her settlement record, Gilliland agreed to forego further investigation and potential disciplinary proceedings by voluntarily resigning her employment effective May 1. Harless said in the December 23 letter to Gilliland that she was alleged to have violated the standards in connection with her supervision and treatment of employees with the legal department, and inefficiently and/or ineffectively processed requests for court intervention. The letter also said Gilliland allegedly failed to adequately and fully respond to public records requests, managed the legal department in a way that was contrary to the care, welfare, and safety of the agency clients, engaged in negative and unwarranted negative criticism of agency management and/or colleagues when communicating with other professionals, engaged in partisan political activity, and accessed and/or used social media for non-agency purposes while on duty. Also in the investigation was the fact that Gilliland announced her candidacy for judge of the Richland County Juvenile Court in November, but did not file a petition. In a letter dated November 15, 2019, from Richland County Prosecutor Gary Bishop to Harless regarding a classified employee engaging in political activity, Bishop said, quote, "As a classified civil servant, Attorney Gilliland would be subject to the political activity prohibition found in ORC section 124.57, end quote. The report said that on 2 occasions, Gilliland submitted and was paid for 8 hours of regular pay, but did not work that total amount of time, including claiming 8 hours of pay for a 23-minute hearing she attended on November 26, 2019, in Richland County Common Pleas Judge Phil Nama's courtroom. In the other instance, she did not appear for a court hearing in Knox County and arrived at work at 11 a.m. and submitted and was paid for 8 hours of regular pay that day. When asked about the hearing, she told a colleague she had overslept. It wasn't Gilliland's first disciplinary investigation. A disciplinary investigation was conducted in September of 2018 when then-Director Patty Harrelson said Gilliland's performance as manager of the legal services had fallen short of the standards set forth in her job description and in agency policies and procedures. Gilliland was alleged by the agency to have violated the standards, quote, "in connection with your supervision and treatment of employees within the legal department," end quote, according to the 2018 investigation. Gilliland also was scrutinized in the most recent investigation regarding an agency tablet she returned on December 23, 2019, after being placed on administrative leave. Investigators noted the power setting had been changed to not require a password when in hibernation/sleep state, creating a security risk leaving the tablet alone, an IT professional said. According to the settlement record, Gilliland agreed never to apply or reapply for, otherwise seek or solicit employment from RCCS, and agreed that, quote, "the released parties have a legitimate and valid reason not to hire her for violating this paragraph," the News Journal reported earlier. Richland County Children's Services, in responding to the public record request, turned over a portion of the investigative files on May 1, saying that the records are still being compiled and reviewed for appropriate redactions. Thus, the need to respond is a piecemeal fashion. My apologies for any names that I did not pronounce correctly. Well, our next article is titled, "Independent Living Center Provides Food, Produce for 300 by Lou Whitmire." A semi-truckload of fresh produce, milk, eggs, and bread arrived at the Independent Living Center of North Central Ohio on Village Mall Drive at 9 a.m. on Monday. The food was given out to about 300 of the agency's clients who have disabilities, paid for with federal COVID-19 funds, Executive Director Pam Drake said. Media joined agency staff members, Ontario Mayor Randy Hutchinson and community leader Doc Stumbo, in the parking lot as the produce and more were unloaded. Drake said each agency client also received a $25 gift card to Myers. Some of the things we're hearing from our consumers is having good quality food, being able to stretch their dollars. So we have come up with a week's supply of potatoes, onions, carrots, broccoli, lettuce, things like that. They'll also get milk, eggs, and bread too, and a gift card, she said. Drake said about 300 of their consumers were scheduled to pick up the food late Monday morning. The food came to the agency from the COVID-19 funds through the ACL, the Administration for Community Living, in Washington, D.C., through the Office of Human Services, Drake said. They are providing funding for the effects of COVID-19. This is the first one, and we're going to see where this goes and what the needs are of our customers, and mainly making sure they are okay, she said. The Independent Living Center of North Central Ohio was established in 1993. It's a nonprofit, consumer-controlled organization working for and with individuals with disabilities in Ashland, Crawford, Huron, Knox, Murrow, and Richland counties. Services provided include advocacy, information and referral, independent living skills, and transition services. The Independent Living Center is a United Way of Richland County agency. Good work. Our next article is titled Mansfield Couple Charged in One of the Worst Child Abuse Cases by Lou Whitmire. A Mansfield couple has been arrested on charges of felonious assault in a case involving a 7-year-old child, according to Mansfield police. Felony warrants were issued Saturday for the arrests of Joshua Henning, 30, and Tasha Martin Henning, 26, after police took a report from a custodial relative concerning suspicious and appalling injuries to a 7-year-old child, according to a news release from Mansfield Police Captain Sherry Robertson. According to Mansfield Municipal Court, affidavits for Joshua Henning and Tasha Martin Henning, the Mansfield Police Department was contacted by Lola Martin, who is the custodial grandmother of the child. Martin told officers that her daughter Tasha Martin and son-in-law Joshua Henning had the victim for the last 2 weeks at their residence. Martin said she received a phone call from her daughter who said, "Come and get the child." Martin said when she picked up the victim, he had visible bruising to his body, cigarette burns to his face, and cuts to his wrist. She questioned her daughter about the wrists, at which time Martin Henning said she grabbed the victim's wrists, according to the court records. Miss Martin took the victim to the Ohio Health Hospital in Reynoldsburg, at which time he was transferred to Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus due to the severity of his injuries. The affidavit said, Ohio Health's Emergency Care Reynoldsburg is at 6960 East Main Street. The Reynoldsburg Emergency Care physician, Andrew Jacks, told officers this was definitely child abuse. A Nationwide Children's Hospital social worker advised that the victims had a ruptured left eardrum, a hematoma, cigarette burns to his face, deep cuts to his wrist, and bruising to his entire body, the court record said. The social worker said she interviewed the victim, who advised that his mother was the one who tied him up and kicked him, and Joshua punched him 3 times. The case was discussed in Richland County Assistant Prosecutor Olivia Boyer, who said to type the felony warrant for the defendants, the court record said. As with these types of cases, the Mansfield Division of Police is not naming the juvenile victim, Robertson said. This is one of the worst child abuse cases I have seen, and I give credit to our detectives and patrol officers who work together in an effort to quickly take those responsible in custody. The ensuing investigation led to the search of a resident in the 100 block of East 1st Street, with patrol officers assisting, according to police reports. During the search and investigation, certain evidence was collected, and 2 suspects in the assault, Martin Henning and Henning, were identified. Both suspects were found and arrested very early Sunday morning by third shift patrol officers. After speaking to detectives, both were incarcerated at the Richland County Jail on the felony warrants, Robertson said. Joshua Henning also was found to be on probation for felony domestic violence in reference to a different case. The 7-year-old victim was left in the care of hospital personnel where the child was being treated following the incident, police said. This investigation is ongoing and has involved Richland County Children's Services, Richland County Probation, the Reynoldsburg Police Department, and the Columbus Police Department, all of whom have assisted major crimes detectives during the initial investigation. No additional information is being released at this time. Anyone who may have additional information concerning this crime has asked to contact Major Crimes Mansfield Police Department Detective Larry Scherer at 419-755-9766 or Detective J. Mark Perry at 419-755-9730. Such a sad story. I hope that child does well and is getting better and protected. Our next article is titled, Church's Pipe Organ Damaged by Vandals Being Professionally Cleaned, by Lou Whitmire. The pipe organ at Grace Episcopal Church is being taken apart, cleaned, and put back together over the next 2 to 3 weeks, all 2,000 parts. It is not a simple project, according to the organ experts. The church at 41 Bowman Street, which was vandalized in early April, was damaged when fire extinguishers were set off through the 19,000 square feet of church building. Police have charged 2 men in the incident. Glenn Toller of GT Organ Company of Illinois removes a pipe from the Grace Episcopal Church organ to be cleaned after vandals sprayed fire extinguishers at the church in April. The powdery substance went inside the pipes. Glenn Toller of GT Organ Companies of Illinois removes a pipe from the Grace Episcopal Church organ to be cleaned. Oops, sorry, that's a repeat. I'll just keep going. After vandals sprayed fire extinguishers at the church in April, the powdery substance went inside the pipes. Church organist Nathaniel Powell, 25, of Columbus, is overseeing the pipe organ project, which he said will include some chamber repairs and some plaster work due to past water damage. Grace Episcopal Church pastor Joe Ashby said the church was cleaned professionally. Insurance covered the cost. Powell said the most severe damage came from the setting off of fire extinguishers. The insides of the pipes are covered with white powder, the same powder that also reached the rafters. Ashby said the stained glass windows had to be cleaned, making the colors on the window even more vibrant. Clark Wilson of J.C. Wilson and Associates of East Liverpool and Glenn Toller, the owner of GT Organ Associates LLC of Frankfort, Illinois, are working on the project along with crew members Justin Krasowski and Jarrett Schroeder. Friday, Wilson said the best part of the project is seeing what everyone is listening to after it's all back together. When you can get people to grin, then you know you've been successful, Wilson added. Toller said the job includes being a plumber, woodworker, electrician, metal worker, tuner, painter, and more. The 4-member crew has begun carefully dismantling the organ pipes, which are behind a screen at the front of the sanctuary. The 2 chambers are tight spaces for grown men to work inside, and the large pieces are heavy to move, according to Toller. The organ built by the Shantz Organ Company in Orville is 52 years old. Clark Wilson said there is something he can't put his finger on about a big pile of lumber and leather and metal making music. You fall in love with these instruments, he said. Anybody that does this, every one of these organs becomes like another one of our children. You have personal feelings about these instruments. They've all got their own personality, and no 2 sound alike. They provide an excitement. It's just like a sickness. It gets in your blood, but you can't get rid of it. The sound, Wilson said. But Clark and Toller said organs don't like dirt. The trumpets are open at the top, and it funnels down into there, Clark added. It's like a little kazoo reeds, and if you get a piece of dirt in there, it just won't move. Ashby said a special service for the organ will be held when the social distancing requirements by the state is not an issue. Each member of the crew is a talented pipe organist. Clark Wilson also wears another hat. He's a silent film scorer and accompanist. His group rebuilt the Renaissance Theater pipe organ several years ago when it had water damage from the roof. Wilson is a resident organist at the Ohio Theater in Columbus. Toller plays the pipe organ at Organ Stop Pizza in Mesa, Arizona, and at another restaurant in Chicago. Everything has to be tuned in the final stages for speech and volume. Once you touch the pipe, it's already out of tune, Wilson said. Toller added that the pipes are temperature sensitive. Once you put your hand on it, you can hear the pitch change, he said. The pipes are soft metal and tin and must be handled delicately. Powell and the organ experts played the organ one last time before it was taken apart. He's the tonal consultant, Toller said of Wilson. After 44 years on the job, Wilson said he can't remember a time when he didn't analyze the sounds of an organ and what comes out of them, calling it a great thing and a curse at the same time. You can never enjoy an instrument. There's no mystery to it. It's an occupational hazard. You go into any place with an organ and the first thing you think is, "What was that?" he said. Powell, who graduated from Capital University having studied political theory and history, has been playing the pipe organ for 13 years. He's been the church organist for about a year at Grace Episcopal Church at Bowman and 3rd Streets, at the church known for its long-standing food pantry and its red front door. Powell said he's looking forward to playing the magnificent organ once again, but is more excited to one day have the congregation back together inside the church when the social distancing requirements are lifted. Well, let's talk now about police calls. 3 women fighting, taken to jail. Let's talk about the 500 block of Topaz Avenue. A man told officers his neighbor took his grill and dog cage off his porch Friday. The victim got the grill back. The dog cage had been sold. 300 block of Park Avenue West. A woman reported her 15-year-old foster son as a runaway Friday. Officers later made contact with the teen who said he didn't run away. He was just next door in the neighbor's yard. 200 block of Central Avenue. A man reported that his license plates had been stolen off of his vehicle on Friday. 1600 block of River Ridge Drive. 2 women, ages 23 and 19, Friday were issued summons on charges of disorderly conduct and assault and released with a court date. 200 block of Newman Street. 3 women, ages 18 to 21, were arrested Friday on charges of disorderly conduct and assault after they refused to stop fighting even in front of an officer. They were taken to jail. 400 block of Midland Drive. A man told officers Friday his handgun was missing and he believes a woman who had come over to help him hang pictures took it, as she is having money issues and is trying to get her hands on things to sell for quick cash. The 600 block of Stocking Avenue. A 16-year-old girl Friday snuck out of residence after being told she could not go to her friends unless she told her mother the friend's name and address. Wow. My friends, we are at the end of today's reading of the Mansfield News Journal for Tuesday, May 5th. This is Pam saying thank you for spending time with me. Please stay in if you can and stay safe. Be blessed and make it a great day.